Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Business Podcast, your source for all things business. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Eric Turnnessen on the line, and he's founder and CEO over at membermouse.com and also owner of LearnGongFuTea.com. Eric, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Adam. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, so I'm excited to get into LearnGongFuTea.com. I mean, as we were talking about in the pre-show, I'm a big, huge tea fan. But as you mentioned so kindly, I've been operating in the kiddie pool. I've been at Teavana, and I just get my little boxes and I try new things. But I am admittedly in the kiddie pool. Don't know how to swim yet. I want to learn how to swim, and you're going to teach us a little bit about what that means today. But before we get into that, I do want to go a little bit further into your background. So tell us a little bit more about your career and kind of how you got to this tea journey.
Yeah, of course. I appreciate the introduction. By the way, I would not have said live that you were in the kiddie pool. That was between us, but you brought it up, so that's
oh, I'm all right. Hey, my listeners, come on. I'll probably get emails that are telling me that no, that's what they want. It's a real show. That's fine. We're good. And by the way, I wasn't just cracking up myself. There's some a lot of people listening right now. They got that little hit in the side, and they're like, wait a minute, yeah. I go to Teavana too, and I'm in the kiddie pool too. What's this guy talking about? So we insulted everybody. Thank you, Eric. Now go.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so so I started MemberMouse in 2009, almost 10 years ago. It's a software product for WordPress that helps people build membership sites. So if you want to build online courses, sell products and services online, our software facilitates that entire thing. Now, my journey with the company, I was a first-time entrepreneur. I was bootstrapping the whole thing, working a couple of jobs, kind of fund it. And the first 4 or 5 years of that journey was kind of just like shotgun approach, just throwing stuff at the wall, see what stuck, and heads down. And I didn't realize until like fourth year in that I was super burnt out because I was just so focused on executing and trying to get some momentum going. Fourth or fifth year in, I ended up kind of taking a trip to Mexico for 6 weeks. And my original plan was that I was going to take my laptop with me, and essentially it'd be like being at home, but on the beach, basically different change of scenery, but still doing the same stuff, working and all that. But it came to me that I wasn't going to bring my laptop. And at first, that was a very fearful idea to me. And so I looked into it and asked myself, well, why am I afraid not to bring my laptop with me? And I realized it was because I had a particular identity of how I saw myself when I was on my laptop. I'm a CEO when I'm on my laptop. I have all these successes when I'm on my laptop, but without my laptop, who am I? And so I ultimately didn't bring it. And as a part of that, I had to set up everybody in my company to be successful. It was a big thing for me. I had my team, but I was still a little bit controlling, and I wanted people to go through me before they made decisions to do things. And 3 weeks into my trip to Mexico, having kind of wound down and disconnected and checking with my team and realizing that the company hadn't blown up, I was like, wow, this is great. Like, I can actually be relaxed and run a company at the same time. And so from that point on, a lot of changes started happening in terms of how I approached my relationship to my company, how much I took on myself, the level of trust I had in my team. And things just continued in that vein for a while, just making adjustments, feeling more into my role as a CEO, and learning that actually, as a software engineer, that's my background. What I was doing was not building a software company, but building a team.
No, it makes so much sense. And essentially, you're the bottleneck. I've gone through that multiple times in my career, and I'll tell you that a lot of people listening to this right now, I know they're thinking the same thing. Maybe you are the bottleneck right now, and you're thinking, oh, wait a minute, he just described me, or maybe you're on the other side of that. If you're the bottleneck right now, I just want to tell you one thing. It feels so good to get on the other side of that. Like there is another side, and I love that you bring that up, Eric. Because it's hard. I struggled with that thing for years of being the bottleneck and having that control and all these other things, and man, it's just not good for you. And
Yeah.
so let's I think that's a great transition. So this brings us to tea. I mean, learngongfutea.com. How did tea play a role in this? Take us there.
So yeah, so I kind of accidentally came to tea, and tea in a sense, when I say tea, I'm talking specifically about Camellia sinensis, which is a very particular type of leaf. It grows mostly in China and other parts of the world, but most of the tea that I drink is Chinese tea. So I'm talking specifically about that because, when you go to tea shops, we in the West basically consider everything tea, even though maybe it's an herb. It's not necessarily strictly tea. But I ended up at a tea ceremony in 2015 by accident. A friend of mine brought me there, and it was just such a profound experience for me. I just had a deep level of meditative experience, like tensions in my body just magically were releasing during the ceremony. And I was like, what the heck? How is this all happening? And, it turns out that, tea is actually works on the meridians of the body similarly to acupuncture. You can actually use different teas as prescriptions to move energy in different ways in the body, and it also has a lot of medicinal aspects to it. But so I was so intrigued by that profound experience that I started sitting with the man Po, who became my teacher. I sat with him multiple times a week for 2 to 3 years. And at first I was just sitting and drinking and being served tea by him, but then I started brewing it myself. And there's so many ways that it changed my world. I think one of the first ways it started to change my world is I started to tune into more subtle levels of awareness in terms of how I navigated. And one example of that, a simple example is, I used to buy food at the supermarket based on sort of habits. But now when I started going to the supermarket, I would feel into what food my body wanted. It's a more subtle awareness. I'm actually asking a question and tuning into it in the moment, as opposed to just like having a patterned way that I approach it.
Wow, that's and so, I mean that's some heavy stuff because like I said, I've drunk tea for a long time, and who knows, maybe I'm drinking herbs and maybe I'm not drinking, like, you know what I mean? It's different. It's a whole. I didn't really understand that there was this whole other level, and the fact that in the meridians part, I had no idea about that. Also, this is interesting stuff, man. So this leads you down this path. And so where are you at now? Like, tell us more about the company. Tell us more about your vision. I mean, let's get, and how you're helping people. Take us a little bit further down the path.
Yeah. So once I got used to brewing tea myself, because even the process of learning to brew tea, in and of itself, tea becomes a teacher in that regard. You learn to tune into the leaf, because different types of tea like different temperature waters, and you learn to develop an empathetic relationship with the plant itself. And like, if I pour too hot water on the leaf, I feel now at this point that the leaf, it doesn't like it. And in fact, you can taste it in the brew. It's just too strong, and it'll give you like a jittery feeling in your body. But really, that jittery feeling is what most people are used to. When you buy commercially produced green tea that's shredded up in a tea bag, most people are used to that jazzed up feeling that they get from a green tea. But that's like miles and universes away from what the experience of actually a really well-made, well-crafted, handled with care tea will do for you. And so once I started getting comfortable brewing myself, I started an Airbnb experience in Santa Fe, and where I would invite people over to my house. They could book this experience and come, and I would serve tea to them. And I was doing this for a couple of years. And within the first year, it became the most highly rated Airbnb experience in Santa Fe. So I had a lot of people coming through. And that's a whole different level of dimension of how I found the value of tea was. Like for me, when I'm serving tea to people, I almost feel like the tea is secondary in a way. Kind of like how when a magician is performing a show, he's making you look at the cards, but he's doing something else while your focus is drawn to that thing. And so for me at this point, the way I use tea is to create a container where people can experience stillness in their life, because it's actually, unfortunately, a thing that not everybody gets to basis. which is crazy. But that's one of the benefits, really, where I ended up with tea and what my purpose was and how I could use it is to invite people to the table, help them experience some stillness in their life. Things would just come up for them. People would start sharing with me within 5 minutes that maybe they wouldn't share with a partner they've been with for years. Because stillness has that magic and that power to allow people to feel these things, be able to come up. Just like when the sun goes down, you see the stars. They're always there. But if you have this bright thing around all the time, those more subtle lights aren't seen. And so the course basically was an extension of that experience. Okay, how can I with a wider audience? And that's where I am now.
So let's get right into LearnGongFuTea.com. I mean, tell us a little bit more about what you're doing, the course. Give us some more of a feel there.
Yeah, so basically on my 5 years of experience working with tea right now, and what I personally resonate with about it, my approach and Learn Gong Fu Tea, get people introduced to tea as quickly as possible. Basically, the course is 80 minutes long of content. You do video demonstrations. Here's the different materials you need for tea. I actually also sell an intro Gong Fu tea set, so people don't even have to worry about not having the appropriate equipment and the tea. But the idea is to get people brewing tea as quickly as possible, because definitely with tea and learning tea, it's a journey. And the quicker you get started, the better, because you're going to learn by doing. And so my intention with the course was to show people step by step all the aspects of the ceremony and the brewing, brew times, and pouring techniques, how you can use different pouring techniques to influence energy in a different way. And it's very much an introduction, because there's really no way in 80 minutes that you're going to cover the breadth of the world of tea. And also, I'll say, one of the major things I don't cover is I'm not like an information person. I don't know a lot about tea from an information perspective, data-wise. And so I particularly don't teach those things. I don't teach the history of tea ceremony. I don't teach, what levels of elevation tea grows best at and what level of humidity are good and why this tea does one versus this tea does another. I drink tea and I experience drinking tea. And that's what I look to share with people, is getting into that experience and really using tea as a cultivation practice for maybe a meditative practice that people can have every day to ground themselves, and use tea as a medicine. Like, you can use different teas if you need to be grounded and you need to come back to earth and be more meditative. There's a tea for that. If you need to get energized and do some work and focus, there's a tea for that. So, and as part of the course, I do live hangouts every week so we can experience drinking tea together.
Man, that's awesome. So, Eric, that being said, if somebody is listening to this and they want to learn more about your course or to connect with the brand overall, I mean, what's the best way for them to do that?
Well, they go to LearnGongFuTea.com, and people, I'll spell that out because it's not a common thing in the West here. So Learn, which I don't have to spell out, Gong, GONGFUTEA.com. So they can head over there. There's a number of, on the landing page of their site, there's an opt-in form where people can enter in their email to receive a number of free videos. I actually give away the first 2 videos of the course for free, which is about 20 minutes of content. So people can really get, without having to commit to anything, if they're interested in this, if it resonates, if they watch those videos, they'll get a much better idea of if it's actually something they want to continue with. So that's what I would recommend.
Fantastic. Well, Eric, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about your journey and all the great work that you're doing to really share that journey with others and to let them be a part of it, and also to experience what you've been doing and what they can do also, and how they can unlock really the benefits of tea. So, and the whole experience surrounding it. So there's awesome stuff, great stuff you're doing here. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review in the Apple iTunes Store, and if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Business, definitely give us a subscribe there, but also leave us some comments in the video. Love to know what kind of projects and things that you're working on. And Eric, thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you, Adam.